Think of a station that creates awareness for national development. Imagine a station that prepares you for a bright and greater future. A station for all ages.
Hello and a warm welcome to NTA Nationwide, reaching you from the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, and I am Olajide Bello. Many thanks for joining us. Starting out with the judiciary, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered Senator Buruji Kashamu to submit himself to the police investigations. The court, however, said since there was a subsisting order of a court on his extradition, it would be unlawful for the police to extradite him to the United States of America after he submits himself. This was the judgment of Justice Nnamdi Dimgba on application made by Senator Kashamu. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewu reports.
Since 2010, Senator Buruji Kashamu has sought to prevent his extradition to the United States of America on alleged drug charges. Now, as senator representing Ogun East Senatorial District of Ogun State, he has again sought the court to grant him a perpetual injunction stopping the police from arresting, detaining, and extraditing him. But the court found out during the trial that the police were after him based on a petition from Honorable Oladipupo Adebutu alleging electoral violence. It is for this that the court said that the police should be allowed to do its job, ordering Senator Kashamu to submit himself to the authority of the Nigerian police while declining his 3 applications for perpetual injunction. But Justice Nnamdi Dimgba also recognized that Kashamu's greatest fears, to use the judge's words, is his extradition. The judge therefore ordered that in investigating the petition, the police should not extradite him. In Abuja, Femi Okewu, NTA News.
States across the Federation have been advised to speedily domesticate the administration of the Criminal Justice Act so as to bring an effective reform of the nation's criminal justice system. Controller General of Nigerian Prisons Service Jafaru Ahmed said this when the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Prosecution and Secretary Administration of Criminal Justice Monitoring Committee presented awareness creation materials on the Act to him in his office. Oku Epeyon reports.
It was a time to interact on how best to implement the administration of the Criminal Justice Act 2015. Hence, the visit to one of the oldest institutions in Nigeria, the Nigerian Prison Service. But being one of the enforcement agencies of government charged with its reformatory roles, the Prison Service says it is not without its challenges, as infrastructural deficit and crowded prisons, due largely to delayed trials, stirs it in the face.
And I think also you need to converse also on the need for other arresting agencies to ensure that they seize the people that they bring to the prisons, and for the judges to ensure that it's not every sentence, every person that appears before them that should be sent to prison.
If properly implemented, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Prosecution and Secretary, Administration of Criminal Justice Monitoring Committee, Okoy Obongo Obla, says the Act will reduce criminality, create jobs, and woo foreign investors.
The committee is to ensure that the Administration of Criminal Justice Act is effectively and efficiently applied.
The Administration of Criminal Justice Act aims at ensuring that criminal cases are expeditiously heard and determined in order to decongest prisons of awaiting trial inmates. Arising from the meeting, the Nigerian Prison Service says it will implement the administration of the Criminal Justice Act. And if well implemented, it says the congestion of prisons across Nigeria will be a thing of the past. From the headquarters of the Nigerian Prison Service, Oku Ekpayong, NTA News.
The Nigerian Bar Association has stated its position on a series of debates raging in the country. The association says Nigeria must remain a united country based on social justice, equity and the rule of law. This is contained in a statement by the president of the association, Abubakar Mahmood. The NBA says it is deeply concerned at the recent heightened agitations across the country. The NBA added that it is convinced that a larger majority of Nigerians prefer to live in a united Nigeria but run and managed in accordance with the principles of justice, equity and rule of law. President of the Nigerian Bar Association called on media houses, particularly online outfits, to exercise responsibility in their publications. The NBA commended the acting president for the steps he has taken so far to douse tension and restore public confidence in the peaceful coexistence of Nigeria. Now, quick dispensation of justice to ensure equity in matters before the court formed the major discourse at the opening of the 2017 judicial retreat of ECOWAS Court of Justice holding in Nasarawa State. Dele Atsumbi reports that the retreat attracted all cadres of judicial workers, 7 in the court.
Justice 2017 retreat is to bring all the judicial workers together to brainstorm on ways of ensuring rapid dispensation of justice within the economic community of West African states. Other issues that came up at the retreat are the enforcement of the verdict of the court by ECOWAS member states, as well as worries over the reduction of judges of the court from 7 to 5. This proposed reduction of judges with the expansion of the court's civil jurisdiction to include human rights cases, participants say, will slow down the court in dispensing justice. As a regional court that does not enjoy appellate jurisdiction over cases being adjudicated upon by courts of member states, participating judicial officers advocated strict adherence to international best practices in serving the end of justice. Declaring the retreat open, the president of the court, Justice Jerome Traore, advised officers of the Temple of Justice to always dispense justice in accordance with the law as it is and not the law as it ought to be.
En fait, effectivement, on a la Cour.
Enforcement of the judgment of the courts is one of the issues that is also a challenge that we are still continuing to address.
The decisions are final and binding on all the member states.
With the ongoing reform of the court, litigants will now be opportuned to file their cases online under the court's e-filing platform, a development observers say will reduce costs as well as the activities of meddlesome interlopers. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And away from judicial matters now, lobbying and the option of diplomacy have been highlighted as some ways to end the continuous rift between the legislative and executive arms of government. Guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria program conversed for these among other solutions while discussing the frosty relationship between the executive and legislature. Kunle Adeye reports.
Acknowledging that the two arms of government are constitutionally empowered to perform their duties, the guests want a genuine and sincere working relationship to promote good democratic governance. Besides adopting political strategy, they say diplomacy is another option that can put an end to rancor between the two arms of government and equally protect the fundamental issues of governance.
National Assembly and the executive should talk to themselves behind the scene and resolve the issue. The issue is not beyond resolution. That's my take on that. Right. Otherwise, let the law courts decide what the position should be.
Rather than engage in unfruitful supremacy battles, guests prayed lawmakers and members of the executive to show allegiance to citizens.
So we expect to see more of understanding, more and better advices from the National Assembly aides of the presidency, because they are those that would advise the presidency whether to ignore the decisions of the National Assembly, their resolutions, their powers, and all that is required of them.
The executive and the legislature have had cause to disagree in the quest to exercise their constitutional rights. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
And on tax matters now, today is First Tax Thursday, a day set aside by the federal government for the enlightenment of Nigerians about the necessity of paying tax regularly. In compliance, Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, led a team of staff from the Federal Ministry of Finance and other Nigerians to major business outlets in Abuja metropolis to create the awareness and the need for them to exercise their primary duty to the nation. Mr. Fowler, who interacted with entrepreneurs and other citizens, said it was part of the strategy adopted by the federal government towards leading Nigeria out of the current recession into the pathway of growth.
We sincerely believe that if Nigerians do what is expected in the area of payment of tax, the government will have enough funds to carry out its own responsibilities. And this new scheme basically says that if you declare your income, pay your taxes, you not pay interest, you not pay penalty, but with its first step to ensure that Nigeria becomes greater. After 31st of March, and you don't declare your income, you don't pay your taxes, then we'll prosecute you. You can lose your assets that you do not declare or pay interest or pay tax on. You can also be sent to jail.
Acting President Yemi Osinbajo had a week ago declared that from now on, every Thursday will be a day for this purpose. He spoke at the formal launch of the Voluntary Assets Income Declaration Scheme and Tax Amnesty Program at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The program has a time-limited opportunity for tax evaders in Nigeria and abroad to declare, regularize and resolve their outstanding tax issues. This will run from 1st of July 2017 through 31st of March 2018. We now join Jennifer in our Lagos Network Center as she guides us on how to manage depression. Hi Jennifer, it's over to you.
Thank you, Olajide. Good evening and a warm welcome to Lagos. The continued underdevelopment of the tourism sector across the African continent has been identified as the bane of socio-economic challenges militating against sustainable economic growth and development in Africa. To the fore at the official unveiling of the 2017 Economic and Development Report in Africa, organized by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development in Lagos. Musa Toliat has the details.
The development report in Africa focused on tourism as a veritable tool for transformative and inclusive economic growth in the continent. According to the new UNCTAD report, tourism in Africa recorded a robust growth, with international tourist arrivals and tourism export revenues increasing from $14 billion to $47 billion between 1995 and 2014. However, the United Nations agency said poor investment in tourism sector, especially in West Africa, has remained a major factor responsible for the prevailing economic challenges in the sub-region.
The contribution of tourism to GDP is less than 5%. Nigeria needs to do much more in the area of tourism.
One of the things that will help tourism is to develop the hinterland.
To unlock the potentials of tourism on the continent, the UNCTAD report suggested that African governments must take steps to liberalize air transport, address safety and security concerns, promote free movement of persons, recognize the value of African tourism, and plan for it.
There are many areas where we can make money in tourism. The areas have not been tapped.
People should not come and you give them rice from China or from another country. The rice should be rice from Nigeria, so that will boost the farmers in Nigeria.
African governments are also advised to key into the first 10-year implementation plan of the African Union's Agenda 2063, aimed at doubling the contribution of tourism to the continent's GDP. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Don't ever contemplate suicide. Speak to someone. That was the key message from the counseling unit of the University of Lagos to the public at a campus campaign against suicide and depression.
For some time now, there have been reported cases of suicide across Lagos State. This trend is gradually finding its way into the university community. This situation, which is attributed to depression, is the reason why the University Authority deemed it fit to sensitize students on the need to seek help.
We had a couple of incidents of attempted suicide, and we found it necessary to intervene to find a way to check the trend of students who were depressed, resorting to committing suicide rather than seeking assistance.
That's why we encourage people that when you are passing through any problem at all, then that problem share is not, to me, is not half solved. It's the beginning of getting that problem or challenges solved totally.
Students took the campaign train to all the faculties, departments, and hostels with messages on placards reading, "Speak out on depression, say no to drug abuse, and suicide is not the answer."
Try to talk to family member, anyone, friends, and I'm very sure there will be a way out of everything.
Psychologists also speak on telltale signs of depression and what can be done to discourage suicide.
Consistent sadness, feeling weak, overeating at times, undereating sometimes, then majorly fatigue.
So the answer is education. People need to be educated on what mental health is. When people are educated, they will know that, okay, if I see somebody with these symptoms or I have these symptoms, all I need to do is go and see a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
Authorities of the University of Lagos are appealing to students not to hesitate in consulting the counseling unit of the institution, which is always open to students.
Indeed, suicide should never be an option. Now, Nigerian entertainers say for the nation's creative industry to maintain its pride of place among industries worldwide, it is important for governments to provide enabling supportive platforms with stringent laws for practitioners to thrive. They stated this at the 50th birthday ceremony of a multiple-role interpreter, Said Balogun, in Lagos.
Moment of celebration and time of reunion as icons in the nation's movie industry converged on Ikoyi to celebrate one of their own, Said Balogun, as he clocks 50. Said Balogun was born in Kwara State and a native of Oyo State, where he had his primary, secondary and tertiary education. In 1989, he produced his first film titled City Girl. He says he has every reason to be thankful to God for his protection, love and provision.
I have to thank Capital God for a lot of reasons. There are a lot of people who didn't make it up to 50. So I say, Father, Lord, thank you. And I'm hale and healthy today. I'm celebrating myself. You can see people from everywhere saying, well done.
Guests showered encomiums on the birthday boy.
He has a wonderful personality. He says it as it is.
Fantastic actor. He's someone I look up to and I have a lot of respect for in the industry.
He's somebody that is focused, determined, resilient, unassuming.
I wish him many happy returns, at least 50 more, a lot of health and inspiration.
There were also short talks on how to ensure safety of life and property by some government agencies to enlighten the guests. The ceremony had in attendance diplomats, actors, musicians, friends and well-wishers. Said Balogun is a renowned filmmaker, actor and director with several movies to his credit. Music stars at the event thrilled the guests with their tunes.
You're still watching Nationwide News. The news continues with Olajide in Abuja.
Many thanks, Jennifer, there from our Lagos Network Center. A Nigerian Air Force helicopter has suffered a technical mishap while undertaking a liaison mission between the Nigerian Army and the Air Force in the ongoing counter-insurgency operation in the northeast. A statement from the Air Force Director of Public Relations, Olatokunbo Adesanya, indicated that the incident that occurred today was as a result of an airborne technical fault with the helicopter. The statement said the helicopter pilot successfully ditched the helicopter into a pool of water to minimize damage, adding that no life was lost in the mishap. The Chief of Air Staff has directed an inquiry to determine the cause of the mishap. Now, still The Nigerian Armed Forces has reiterated its commitment towards restoring lasting peace and stability to insurgent-ravaged communities in the northeast. Theatre Commander Operation Lafia Dole Major General Ibrahim Altairu made these known at a media briefing on the recent successes recorded in the wave of operations of troops.
In the period under review, our troops conducted several clearance operations to rid the hinterlands of fleeing Boko Haram terrorist elements. An aggregate of 860 settlements were cleared of Boko Haram terrorists by troops, and 404 Boko Haram insurgents were killed, including Abu Fatima, the commander of Boko Haram terrorists in Buk, Talala, and Ajigin axis.
The theatre commander said 67 Boko Haram terrorists have surrendered while calling on others to take a cue. Arrest of fish smugglers, drug peddlers, suspected human traffickers and recovery of stolen items were also part of successes recorded in the wave of operations. And now to Election Matters. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu Thursday received members of the Steering Committee of ECOWAS Network of Electoral Commission, ECONEC. The body was established in Conakry, Guinea in 2018 as a regional platform for promotion of credible election. The ECONEC Steering Committee meeting holding in Abuja, Nigeria, is targeted on reviewing the 2017-2018 work plan and status of network, especially towards support of peaceful and credible presidential elections in Liberia in October 2017 and to determine support and needs assessments for that of Sierra Leone scheduled for March 2018.
To reposition the network by making it effective and efficient in ensuring the sustainability of its goals. To this end, the last General Assembly in Cotonou also agreed to establish a permanent secretariat here in Abuja.
The INEC chairman, who is also the president of ECONEC, led members of the steering committee for the commissioning of the ECONEC secretariat in Abuja. Now, former President Obasanjo makes case for NEPAD strengthening, and Kemi has details from Ibadan. Moving on now, we're having slight issues from our Ibadan Network Center. To address contemporary environmental challenges occasioned by emerging advances in technology, and federal government has commenced the process of reviewing 15 new guidelines on environmental impact assessment, EIA. Mayor Ogidi reports on the sectors affected by the review and the benefits therein.
It was in 1992 that the federal government promulgated the current Environmental Impact Assessment Act, focusing majorly on infrastructural development and oil and gas. Going in between the lines of the Act reveals that most of the sections have gone obsolete, so its implementation no longer produces the desired results. A case in point is climate change.
National stakeholders validation workshop on the development of environmental new guidelines.
The task before these sector regulators, consultants, and representatives of the government is to revise the existing ones and incorporate the new ones. The areas are 15, including health, electronic waste, farms, urban development, oil and gas, as well as renewable energy.
These guidelines under review are derived from the existing EIA Act that hitherto did not adequately address the global emerging environmental issues, such as strategic environmental assessment, and incorporate climate-smart decisions. Therefore, the need to renew the guidelines and even develop new ones cannot be overemphasized, especially considering the dynamic nature of our environment.
It is a two-day engagement of some of the best brains in the environment family, and the outcome will form the basis of a new Environmental Impact Assessment Act after the approval by the Federal Executive Council. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
Away from environmental matters now to the legislature. The Senate has adopted the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund on the National Open University of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2017. The bill seeks to amend the existing legislation with a view to removing perception of the public about the university, as explained by Senator Barau Jibrin.
To include ICT as another means of providing tuition towards the advancement of learning throughout Nigeria. The National Open University, as currently run, depends critically on virtual learning and students' individual research. Hence, the need for improvement and introduction of helpful learning tools as presented by ICT.
Some senators described the amendment as timely and in tune with global best practices. The House of Representatives is considering a bill for an act to establish a regulatory framework for water resources in Nigeria. The 14th-section bill emanated from the executive and has been passed for second reading. When passed, the bill will enhance clean water in Nigeria.
To law, it will trigger monumental change, and we'll see that water resources of this country is unbundled to encourage the public-private participation that will connect and build a strong nexus between the national water resources and the value chain in the environment, agriculture, health, inland waterways, solid minerals, forestry, electricity generation, emergency management, meteorological and hydrological sectors.
The bill intends to establish a regulatory framework for the allocation and use of water resources to ensure the proper prioritization of water use, the management of water basin level, the creation of an enabling environment for investment by creating a clear regulatory framework.
Now you can watch these news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. We pause now for some messages. Nationwide continues shortly. Don't go away.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed in ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
This is The Place.
This is where you make that bold move.
This is where it all happens.
This is where dreams are made. Join us every Sunday from 6:30 p.m. on NTA and Star Times. Be part of Nigeria's biggest game show event.
Give and take.
Win big. Live your dreams.
The power to win is within.
The Future Assured project of the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari, is carrying out free medical screening and distribution of food items at various IDP camps while ensuring the economic empowerment of women through training and skill acquisition. In recognition of her efforts, wives of governors have lent their voices and support.
In Kogi State, we feel the impact of Future Assured
especially in women and children.
The Future Assured program of Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, the wife of the president, has been very assuring and still reassuring in Sokoto State. It has impacted positively in the areas of humanity, especially women and children.
Supports the Future Assured initiative. Email programs@futureassured.org.ng. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
NTA Television College Jaws, an affiliate of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, is again organizing 4-week short courses in the following areas: intermediate television presentation techniques and basic camera operations, date 17th July to 11th August 2017, and intermediate television journalism, date 14th August to 8th September 2017. Venue for all courses will be at the college premises, NTA Television College, Refi Jaws. Course fee 100,000 naira per participant, accommodation inclusive. The courses have been designed to put participant on the professional broadcast track for both studio and location camera operations, exposing TV presenters on how to develop their own unique on-screen presence and persona, learning how to break down the script to bring words to life, and to improve journalist writing skills, English and grammar, learning excellent interviewing skills with critical thinking. If you have a knack for TV broadcasting, then don't miss this opportunity. NTA Television College, training you to be the best you want to be.
The masters of the game are coming from different parts of the world.
Are you ready?
Watch 14 of Europe's elite teams battle it out from the 16th to the 31st of July 2017. China, Singapore, and USA will play host to the best footballers on the planet. Don't blink, because you just might miss the exhilarating action. Watch all games live and exclusive on Star Times.
Don't miss it.
Subscribe for 2 months and get 2 weeks free on any bouquet. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
For over 25 years, I have been privileged to anchor various programs on television. But the news program that I find most exciting and challenging is The Weekend File. This is largely because of its philosophy of engaging all classes of people, the artisans, politicians, technocrats, captains of industry, and professional analysts on issues that touch all aspects of life and living. In the conversations that follow, you find complexities, different views, ideologies, thought patterns, and individual beliefs. It's quite engaging. We do this Saturdays on NTA Network Service at 9 p.m. It's Weekend File, but you call it Weekend Companion, and it's all about nation building. Join me, Kyrian Umayo, and production crew every Saturday for this weekend treat, and I can tell you that it is unmissable. Make it a day.
Many thanks for being there, and if you're just joining us, this is NTA Nationwide. Now, another collaboration to end violence against women and children in Rivers State. The Babari has details from our Port Harcourt Zona studio. Over to you.
Thank you, Olajide, and good evening and welcome to Port Harcourt. Overall trend observed in the incidents of violence against women and girls in Rivers State from January 2015 to July 2016 revealed an alarming rate of crime against this vulnerable group, which calls for intensified and result-oriented efforts to stem the tide. Osinachi Samuel reports that relevant stakeholders are meeting in a 2-day workshop in Port Harcourt to brainstorm on ways to reduce the trend.
Cult and gang-related violence is said to have been a significant driver of conflict risk in Rivers State and the Niger Delta region during the period under examination.
And we talk about early warning, we're talking about violent conflict and violence affecting women and girls. So how we can be much better at collecting data.
We have worked to mitigate conflicts in a lot of communities. But then for us, that is not enough, right? And that's why we're doing this program.
Resource persons from the non-profit and humanitarian organizations shared practical experiences in their fact-finding journeys on mainstreaming gender in early warning data collection and reporting.
We'll be meeting with traditional rulers, religious bodies, and important persons in government, bringing up these issues, violence against women and girls, gender issues, and most importantly, religious tolerance.
To ensure that the message is disseminated, and we make sure that we drum it. It's not just a one-off thing. We should work with the government. We should ensure that the policies are implemented.
For me, I think what we should be looking at now is, how to take care of some of these persons.
The 2-day workshop ends on the 6th of July in Port Harcourt. Osinachi Samuel, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy Forward Operations Base, Bonny, has handed over a vessel, MT Lady Sweden, with 9 suspects to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for prosecution. Kingsley Amaju reports that the vessel was conveying purported illegally refined petroleum product before the arrest.
The latest handing over of the vessel alongside 9 crew members to the EFCC is in continuation of the Nigerian Navy response to the directive of its Chief of Naval Staff to rid the region of activities of illegal oil bunkering and the sabotage of Nigeria's economic resources. Commander NNS Forward Operation Base, Bonny, Navy Captain Suleiman Olorudara said the vessel was arrested with about 300,000 liters of suspected illegally refined automated gasoline oil, AGO, in January 2017. He said the Nigerian Navy would intensify its campaign against the economic sabotage in the region.
In fulfillment of the CNS Chief of Navy Staff mandate that there is zero tolerance for criminality at sea. It is in that view that we drive that mandate. We resulted in the arrest of this ship, and today we're handing her over.
This case will be thoroughly investigated and prosecuted in the court of competent jurisdiction.
As at the time of filing in this report, men of the EFCC have taken over the arrested vessel, while the suspects have also been moved to the EFCC office in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Over 1,000 individuals have benefited from the free medical outreach of the Nigerian Army in Port Harcourt. The Commander, Military Hospital 6th Division, Nigeria Army, Audu Jimai Enogela, said the free medical outreach is in commemoration of this year's Army Day.
As the Nigerian Army celebrates this year's Army Day, the 6th Division Nigerian Army in Port Harcourt has embarked on a series of activities to impact the life of people in Port Harcourt.
The Commander, Military Hospital, 6th Division Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Audu Enogela, said the week-long activities is with the intention of giving back service to the community.
We've targeted about 1,000 individuals, both children and adults, to give various types of treatment. We have both health education and other people who are sick. We also treat them and give them medication.
One of the leaders in Rumeme community, Samuel Amehule, and other beneficiaries of the free medicals thanked the military for remembering their communities in this year's Army Day celebration.
It's really been long. The kingdom have seen this kind of thing. from their attendance here today, you can see that everybody is so happy. They are so enthusiastic.
I have an eye problem, and they are attending to me very well. So we appreciate what the Nigerian Army is doing here.
The beneficiaries were treated and given free drugs in Port Harcourt. Vivian Izadifi, NTA News.
The Salah Family Fun Fair, organized by Sisters of Jannah, Port Harcourt Zone, provided opportunity for Muslim families and friends alike to have fun and share their time with one another after the Salah. Correspondent reports that it was also an avenue to promote Islam and appreciate Allah for what he has done through the Salah period. It was so much fun for kids as well as parents. For the kids, they had several activities to engage in as they also interacted with their peers. The first Salah Family Fun Fair, a unique gathering for Muslims to gather together and promote Islam and peaceful coexistence, is geared towards encouraging religious tolerance and the need to disabuse the minds of people towards Islam.
Fellow respected Muslim sisters and brothers in Islam, including children, is to have a high level of tolerance as displayed by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Some Sisters of Jannah and other Muslim faithful stress the need to promote peace and unity.
We are trying to bring Muslim families together, to be happy together and have a lot of fun with all our kids.
Muslims in this community should come together, get to know each other and think on how to better people's life.
It was really fun, like there were many toys for kids and I think it's great.
To make our children to be educative and to know more about Islam.
The Sisters of Jannah is a humanitarian body geared towards promoting charity, unity, and peaceful coexistence. And that's our contribution from Port Harcourt. It's over now to Olajide for the rest of the news. Good evening.
Many thanks to Barbari there. Moving on now, Jigawa State Government says it is committed to improving the standard of education and welfare of teachers at all levels. Governor Muhammad Badaru Abubakar stated this while addressing members of the National Union of Teachers who staged a rally against the proposed local government autonomy. Habibu Hussein has the details.
For years, local governments in the country have been agitating for autonomy, with some stakeholders supporting the movement while some goes against it. Teachers at the basic level of education in the country, who are part of those to be affected by the autonomy, kick against the proposed movement. They said, if granted, the autonomy will surely backslide the effort being making to improve the standard of education, urging government to support the proposed agenda. In Jigawa State, Chairman of the Union, Comrade Usman Uduse, appealed to government and other relevant stakeholders to kick against it or design a mechanism that will withdraw the teachers' welfare from local government's grant.
Agitation for local government autonomy, which has always posed a big threat to the interests and welfare of primary school teachers in Nigeria.
Governor Muhammad Badr Abubakar, who appreciated teachers for their enormous contribution toward the development of the society, stressed government's determination to improve the welfare of the teachers and create a conducive atmosphere of teaching and learning across schools.
There will be no meaningful development in any society without quality education. And that has to be protected by all means. So I assure you, whatever the circumstances, we will support you.
The rally, which took place in almost all states of the Federation, featured the presentation of unions' demands to Governor Muhammad Badr Abubakar. From Duse, Habib Hussein, NTA News.
The newly elected council chairmen in Jigawa State have taken oath of office just as the electorate have expectation that a dividend of democracy will be delivered to the doorsteps of the common man. Habibu Hussein reports that All Progressives Congress won the entire 27 local government chairman seat.
Do solemnly swear that...
This swearing-in marks the end of the tenure of the interim caretaker committee chairman in all the 27 local government areas of the state. They are to serve for a period of 2 years. Governor Muhammad Badr Abakar tasked the new chairman to be dedicated and committed to the service of the people that trusted them with their mandates. He advised them to be honest, transparent, and always carry all along irrespective of political affiliation.
All the citizens in your local governments have voted for you because you get the mandate, and the mandate means you have to work for all and sundry across party lines. So please be fair and just.
The governor warned them to be prudent in managing public resources, as leadership is a position of trust. Chairman Gumal local government, who spoke on behalf of the council chairman, commended the people of the state for the confidence reposed in them and praised their commitment to deliver a dividend of democracy to their people. He called for support and prayers for the success of their administration in the 2 years they will be at the helm of affairs in their respective councils. From Dutse, Habib Hussein, NTA News.
And worried by the incessant communal crisis in parts of Taraba State, a Fulani group, Gan Allah Fulani Development Association of Nigeria, GAFDAN, is reaching out to all concerned to find a lasting solution in addressing the problem. The group also wants the federal government to beef up security and declare a state of emergency in some parts of Taraba State. Salihu Abdullahi has the report.
Gan Allah Fulani Development Association of Nigeria is concerned over the recent communal crisis that led to loss of lives and property in Sardauna local government area of Taraba State. A persistent phenomenon that the group feels is unnecessary at this period that the nation is picking up the pieces and intensifying efforts to rebuild the Northeast and beef up security across the country as the basic platform for development.
That we have lost over 25,000 herds of cattle. That one we are setting, over 25,000. For human lives, we are still counting. The federal government should, as a matter of urgency, set up a high-powered judicial tribunal to handle the entire investigation and prosecution of all those involved in this genocide.
The group further says that it is ready to cooperate with the authorities in finding lasting solutions to the prolonged crisis in Taraba, with particular emphasis on the recent one in Sardauna local government. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Former President Obasanjo makes case for Nepal strengthening, and Kemi has details from Ibadan. Kemi.
Good afternoon, Elajide, and a warm welcome to Ibadan. The need for the 3 tiers of government to synergize towards implementing projects that have direct bearing on the poor has been brought to fore. This was the focus of discourse at the monthly seminar of the Nigerian Institute of Social and Economic Research, NISA. Shola Wahid has the report.
Speaking on the topic, subnational government participation in economic recovery and growth plan in Nigeria, Dr. Felix Arawoma explained that the 3 tiers of government in the country should invest in infrastructure and create an enabling environment for business to thrive. He said that the internally generated revenue, IGR, of states should be improved upon to enable government meet its salary obligations to workers.
The federal government are calling for collaboration because they know that they cannot do it all alone. More importantly, that over 40% of the resources in the country are being controlled by the subnational government. So there is need for collaboration, coordination, and of course, like I said, the benefit to be to the masses.
Speakers at the seminar advised state government to develop economic plans, stressing that the 3 tiers of government in the country should publish their monthly allocations.
Anytime the oil price goes down, because our economy is not well diversified, we go through this kind of process.
There must be a process of renewal. There must be new energies injected into these institutions from time to time, no matter the cost. The economic and recovery growth plan of the federal government is to promote national prosperity and self-reliance economy for the benefits of the citizens. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has emphasized strengthening the new partnership for Africa's development, NEPAD's country offices across all member states of the organization in African continent to return the organization to the vision of its founding fathers. Chief Obasanjo made the remark while hosting the Chief Executive Officer and National Coordinator of NEPAD in Nigeria. Anthony Gondonu has details.
The visit, according to the Chief Executive Officer and National Coordinator, New Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, Princess Gloria Bakobundu, was to intimate the former President, Olusegun Obasanjo, whom she described as one of the founding fathers of NEPAD, on the activities of the agency in Nigeria.
He made us to understand what to do with NEPAD and how to use NEPAD to support the government, support the economy, support the people of Nigeria.
Princess Akobundu added that working on the agency's mandate of poverty alleviation, women and youth empowerment, NEPAD, in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's economic recovery agenda, is working with the public-private sector for better Nigeria. In his response, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo underscored the need to build on the legacies of the founding fathers.
I want to assure you also this. If I have the opportunity, I will still that.
Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, however, advised the NEPAD National Coordinator to always work within the mandate and ambit of the agency for greater development in Nigeria. In Abeokuta, Anthony Gondonu, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Is back to Abuja from the continuation of Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Many thanks, Kemi. Moving on, the Nigerian Television Authority has tasked the management and staff at zonal centers to embrace digitization in order to enjoy the advantages that come with it. This was the fallout of the one-day workshop organized for staff of NTA Marketing Network Center in line with the International Telecommunication Union Treaty. The report.
The workshop, which drew participants across the states that make up the Makudi Network Center, had its focus on transition from analog to digital terrestrial television broadcasting as it regards the NTA. Resource persons at the workshop said digitalization of the industry will create job opportunities, foster competitiveness, save cost and create space for more programming, ensure multi-channel capacity which will create variety, enhance work skills and facilitate environmental friendliness, among others. They said the organization is taking concrete measures aimed at defining a roadmap on strategies and building customer awareness to achieve best standards in the digital switchover.
The government must actually take concrete decisions. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What are the implications?
By the time we are making budget for funding, we know why we are doing it. By the time we want to make our training plans, we know why we need it. And by the time that government wants to regulate, they will know what to regulate about.
The Director, Training, Headquarters Abuja, Halima Bewell, and the Acting Zonal Director, NTA Makudi Network Center, Eunice Ekpo, urge all staff to imbibe the spirit of self-training to be abreast of evolving technological advancement in the broadcast industry.
Our level of preparedness can only be centered on content for now.
Some participants sought more clarifications on how lack of funds can affect content provision, national security in digital era, and the fate of community stations when the policy is implemented. In Makudi, Elias, ETR, NTA News.
Now for stories making the rounds and the foreign scene, Oku Ekpeyong will guide us.
Hello then, welcome to this segment of the news. I am Oku Ekpeyong. U.S. President Donald Trump has argued that the future of Western civilization is at stake. In a keynote speech in the Polish capital Warsaw, Trump lauded Poland as an example of a country ready to defend civilization while warning against threats of terrorism and extremism. Poland's conservative government shares Mr. Trump's hostile view of immigration and strong sense of sovereignty. Mr. Trump was in Poland ahead of G20 summit in Hamburg, Germany. Amnesty International has blamed failing European Union policies for the soaring death toll among refugees and migrants in the central Mediterranean. In a report, it said cynical deals with Libya consigned thousands to the risk of drowning, rape and torture. It said EU is turning a blind eye to abuses in Libyan detention centers and was mostly leaving it up to sea rescue charities to save migrants. The Commission proposes to use more than 50% of the funds to boost Libya's Coast Guard's capacity to stop traffickers launching boatloads of migrants out to sea to be rescued. The International Criminal Court, ICC, is expected to issue a ruling over South Africa's failure to arrest Sudan's President Omar al-Bashir during his visit to the country 2 years ago. President Bashir is charged with genocide in connection with conflicts in Darfur. President Jacob Zuma's government has argued that ICC's demand were in conflict with the country's diplomatic immunity laws and that it has launched a move to withdraw from membership of court, something that human rights groups have criticized. And that's it from this segment. I am Oku Ekpeyong. The news continues shortly.
Many thanks, Oku. And now to sport. Nigeria shipped one step down to 39th position in the latest FIFA World Ranking as Germany overtakes Brazil at the summit. Tamara Ibiwe brings us reports on these and other stories on Sport Update.